Hey everybody, good morning and welcome back to painting to something. Reaper Pro Tips, yes! Dang! Welcome back to Anne's Scrambled Brain, which you do see every day. With me, your host, Anne of the Scrambled Brain, and Quindy of the Disembodied Hands, which sounds ever spookier when I put it that way. I don't know why, but it's almost October, so spooky is okay. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all today? Oh, yeah, and there's somewhere out there, yeah, John, Justin, yeah, that stuff. Yeah, Crowley, I know. Can't have coffee. Can't even have tea right now. Yeah, that was a mixed up intro if ever there was one. If ever. Oh, dear me. Dear me. What a morning. Hopefully today is a little better than yesterday. For everybody. Oh, be gone. Oh. Yeah, I needed more caffeine this morning, but sadly there are very few ways I can take in caffeine right now, so it's like just the way it is. We suffer for our art and our livelihood. So here we go. We has a genie. If I remembered the Dream of Genie theme song, I would hum it, but I don't, so I don't. You accidentally paused me? You put me on pause, Kodiak? That's okay. I wish I could pause the puppy sometimes. Though she's getting better and better and better, actually. Little pupper. She's messing around. I gave her a pig ear right before I started the stream, so she's probably messing around with her pig ear. But she's, I haven't gotten any new scars, bitey marks, for 3 days now. The puppy brain cells are starting to percolate and actually like go, oh, biting humans is bad. So yeah. I hate needles, sadly, Kerniko, so that's out. The only caffeine, to give you guys an idea, I could drink tea if I was willing to take it without anything in it. But I actually kind of find it gross that way. So instead I have my my flavored sparkling waters. A couple of those brands are caffeinated. So I have my apple flavored, so it's like apple juice, flavored sparkling water in the morning. But yeah. Turgeon, I'm not making any decision that you should know me better than that. I have no preconceptions. I mean, everybody seems to like have trouble with pastels. Why do you guys have trouble with pastels? It's just lighter versions of the regular colors. So the key is to keep most of the color light and to use muted colors to shade instead of the more saturated tones. So if you want your pink to look pastel pink and not too red, don't shade it with red. I don't know why people are so, I mean, we could do him in pastels. I mean, that would be kind of amusing, being the manly man genie he is. Well, I went through plenty of surgery myself, Kerniko, so, you know, it's like, sure, I can deal with them. I just hate them. I always used to be scared of them. Now I'm not scared of them. I just detest them. I loathe them. I hate needles. Yeah, that's one of my big things. No matter how many times I've been punctured many, many times myself at this point. Yeah, I just can't ever watch them put it in. Yeah. But yeah, right. Well, I have a dentist appointment today. Here's another example. I used to be afraid of the dentist. Then I went through like 3 years of surgery. And now the dentist is like, do what you will. I could care. Nothing you do can be what I've gone through. Oh, and hey, less than 2 weeks to Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 launches in less than 2 weeks now, I think. I'm excited. Looking forward to playing again. Looking forward to trying out the new support hero, assuming everybody else doesn't insta-lock it off the bat, which I'm sure they will. But that's fine. I probably need to practice first before I actually play it. Yeah, October 4th. And Overwatch League starts up again this week. This is the last cycle. And I'm so peeved. Like, I don't know what to do, guys. Like, the grand finals for Overwatch League are actually down in Anaheim. We could drive to it. But we have to find Puppy. Puppy needs a puppy sitter if we do that. And I'm like, I don't know if she's going to be old enough to have a puppy sitter. So I'm like, that's me right now. Maybe I should get her a little puppy sitter and have just for David and I going out to dinner and see if the puppy sitter like and Kiki get along, and maybe then we can do it. Because man, I would love to go to the grand finals. Like normally they're not near us at all. It was Lol, yeah. Well, oh, yeah. So the new one is going to be a bit different, Zachariah. And then in 2023 they're going to bring in the PVE element because there will be a PVE part of the game as well. That just the whole pandemic and everything and all the stuff completely derailed their original production schedule. But they want to launch the part of the game that they have, and that's the part of the game most of us play, obviously, since there is not currently a PVE thing other than the holiday stuff. So I'm looking forward to that too. So it should be fun. It should be fun. They have a regular schedule of new heroes and new maps, and it just looks like fun. Yeah. See, I'm like, actually, PvE would have been my shtick, but I'm like kind of met on PvE at this point. I really enjoy the PvP part of the game, which is really weird for me. I'm not normally a PvP game person. Not ever, actually. Like, I hate it in WoW. I won't do it. Oh, there is. Uh-oh. Hold on. I must rescue the water bucket, guys. 1 second. Let's rescue it. Puppy, how did I forget to do that? How did I forget to do that for you? It's a plaything. Oh, you mounted your finger already? Already you mounted your finger? Oh, well. I guess you're just going to have to nap. I guess you're going to have to nap, Papa. I have a new Kiki pic for you guys today, so I may as well just show you. I had to rescue the water bucket before she turned it over. Right, right. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Let me see here. Where's my Kiki shot? Oh, photos. She was in Adorbs yesterday. She had a couple of Adorbs yesterdays, actually. We have, wait. We have the Adorbs Kiki with Frizzle. Frizzle Bee. She's learning to chase Frisbees now, which is adorable because she mostly falls over them. And then we have this, David loves this picture. The Kiki with her new giant carrot. So she has a giant chili pepper toy, and she loved it so much we bought her the carrot version. So Kiki with her giant carrot, which is super funny. It squeaks at 2 points. But she's looking at David in this picture, so she's actually like, she's memeable. This picture is memeable. So Kiki with her giant carrot, and then the other one I really like from yesterday. Oh, you guys want a video? Here we go. There we go. There's the Frisbee. Oh, we have to get it. We have to get it. And we bring it back. Yay! So proud. Proud puppy prance. So there you go. You guys get a Kiki video. Wow, you get all sorts of stuff today. And then there's the Kikers in the midst of a cardboard box that she has completely destroyed. And then I don't know if this next one's going to show up very well, but it's essentially, her face was so good that I did a close-up of it. So let's see. There's my Kiki. And you can see the little ear standing up. So both of her ears are kind of up. I don't know if they're going to stand fully. Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to stand fully, but they might. Or they might stay soft for when she's an adult. I mean, she comes from obviously her dad had floppy ears, so having any amount of stand on them is amazing. Oh, but her brothers, I don't know if I showed you this, guys. Her brother, Vax, I don't remember his new name, but his ears went up, like strong up. Like, this is a very dark photo. Apologies, but it's what they took. Both ears up, really strong. Like, he is the pick male, by the way. So he's going to look just like a Shiloh. Like, you will not be able to tell that a quarter of him is Poodle Wetterhound, which is awesome. So yeah, he's a pretty boy. He's going to be a bicolor, what we call bicolor. So a lot of black. So that is Vax. So he's handsome. Very, very handsome. We're very proud. So I'm super happy about that. Because the whole point is to get back to Shiloh type and still have genetic diversity. But at this rate, with him looking that good, if he looks that good when he's an adult, breeders will want to use him. That's the challenge of using a dog breed for an outcross that is not at all similar to your breed. is that it's a real challenge to convince breeders to take a chance and use it. Because they want dogs that look like Shilohs. They want puppies that look like Shilohs. But that dog looks like a Shiloh. And so hopefully he passes his health testing and everything, fingers crossed, temperament testing and all the rest. And because I think people will actually want to use him. And we need to lessen our inbreeding, so we really could use that. We really hope that happens. So yeah, anyway, enough dog talk. Enough dog talk. Everybody got to see the Kiki pictures. I took a lot of Kiki pictures yesterday. I'm documenting the ear. I want the ear to stand. All right, but she is keeping it up more today. Like, she had a new box toy. We got a new Amazon. Whenever we get Amazon in the mail, she gets a new box toy, i.e. to play with the box. All right, let's mix up our stuff. So we have our shadow, which is Rogue Shadow, if you recall. I'm using a reddish shadow on this. Morning Pendrake. But yeah, Kiki is getting better and better. I'm interested to see if I notice any difference in her behavior at puppy preschool this Saturday now that she's getting more brain cells. All right, so if you remember, we were using mixes of these colors. So we're using, well, and it's not really ruddy brown, we're using oxide brown, but this is my closest because I lost my oxide brown and I have to reorder it. I may have given it to David. I just don't remember. So we're using this succession of colors, actually. Just a tiny touch of this, though. Mostly we're using these. And these are the two Bones skin colors that are for dark flesh. And they are necessities, in my opinion, if you're going to paint dark flesh. Like, you'd be dumb not to own them because they're really, really, really good and really, really accurate. So... however, there is a bit of a gap here between this one, which is very blue-black, and this one, which is very yellowish. Obviously, you can see that if you mix these, you might get a bit of a greenish tint, which is a real danger, and that's why we introduce a tiny touch of, in my case, ruddy brown, but oxidized brown is the one you really want, 9333. Kiki is part cat instead of Wetterhound. Actually, David is David is amazed at how human she is. This is Shiloh's. Welcome to Shiloh's. She is not a dogly dog. She uses her paws like hands, and the way she interacts is very, it's just, you can see the brain working, and it's not like, I used to describe this with my Sheltie. I had a Sheltie and a German Shorthair pointer growing up, and when you looked at Pippi, who was our German Shorthair, it was just like she was a dog. Pippi was a dog. When you looked at Fergie, the Sheltie, he was a little person. You could tell. Like cats are little people. Many cats, anyway. So yeah. So Kiki is like that. She's a little person. You can tell that she's thinking and trying to figure it out. And, she watches what we do. And she, it's just really cool. It's one of the things I love about herding breeds in general, and Shiloh's in particular. They're very, very human intelligence. It's very interesting. All right, so let's start out with this. Since we identified that the bluishness in this might conflict with this, then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of add in a little bit of red in between these guys. And so we're going to start by adding a drop of red into our ebony flesh. And we're going to use 4 drops of this and 1 drop of this. Kiki is actually, wait, I have her actual DNA. Photos, go back up to all the things. Where's the things? Oh my god, I have so many Kiki photos, you guys. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. So this is from Embark. She was yellow collar girl. And here is by DNA. Here's what she is. So you can see that she actually comes up as slightly higher Shiloh Shepherd. She comes up as more Wetterhound than Poodle. This was consistent throughout the litter, and what that means is that Floyd, her daddy, inherited more of the Wetterhound genes than the Poodle genes from his sire. Because remember, his sire was a 50-50 Wetterhound Poodle. So Buka, who is the outcross, had 50-50. But when he passes 50% of his own genes down to Floyd, then that can be a different shift. And in fact, Floyd's siblings may be higher poodle than they are Wetterhound. But we ended up with Floyd being more Wetterhound than poodle, and this is consistent throughout the puppies. They all have slightly different percentages, but it's always more Wetterhound than poodle. So she is actually more Wetterhound than she is poodle. And the discrepancy, as we know, she's by pedigree only 75% Shiloh Shepherd. This is where these parentage things have a slight inaccuracy slide, because all the dog breeds have like things in common between them. So there's haplotypes out there, which are blocks of genes that are shared between different breeds, which is how sometimes you'll get that weird. So essentially that extra 1.5% of Shiloh Shepherd is probably just a haplotype that is shared with these, but it's IDing it as Shiloh Shepherd. So yeah, so that's why when you get those parentage things, you don't have, like it's not completely accurate, quote unquote, with what you would think. So even when you get, like when you get those, say you have a mixed breed and you do it and it's like 1/8 this, 1/8 that, 1/16 this, 1/2 that, but it won't be exactly like, and that's why it won't be exactly those numbers. There'll be some slide. Your dog may be more bulldog than it is poodle, than is reported, right? So because there's just those crossover genes. So anyway, off we go with 4 drops of ebony flesh off of the dog science. We did those. We did the embark to actually show us what our genetic coefficient of inbreeding is for these dogs. I run the mathematical coefficient of inbreeding numbers on my computer here. We run for 30 generations, as far back as we can get, pretty much. That's useful. 1 drop of oxide brown. Yeah. Interesting, Valandar. But that's because dogs have a much smaller genome than we do, I would guess. Let me see. Size, because I think only 200,000. All right, 2.5 billion 2.5 billion DNA-based pairs for the dog genome. Oh no, it's similar. It's similar actually. Huh? I wonder. Yeah, apparently dogs, cats, and humans are all about the same then. Well, never mind. I thought for some reason the dog genome was shorter. I wonder what I'm remembering though, because there is something genetic that is smaller in the dog. Yeah, maybe it's the chromosomes, Pendrake. You could be correct. But the genome is different. '78 chromosomes in dogs. Or wait, is that correct? A human has 46 chromosomes, a cat has 38, and a dog has 78. So dogs actually have more chromosomes than us. Crazy talk. That's pretty cool, actually. All right, and then I've got a ruddy flesh oxide brown, and this time I'm going 3-to-1 on this. Kiki has more chromosomes. Now there's something though, there is something where I was like, that it was more limited. Okay, so now we've got essentially our 2, this is just our shadow, these are our 2 base colors. And I have to stop here and mix them up because I put one brush of one into the other and vice versa. So I'm going to mix them up 2-to-1 with water, or roughly. And then I'm going to mix them, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of one into the other. And doing this when you are mixing colors just helps them to match a little bit better if you're using the well palette. And I think I'm going to start by mixing my light into my dark, and then I'm going to mix my dark into my light. Because I want this to come up a little bit more than I want this to darken. So there's that color. And I'll mix this brush full into there. And I'll mix that brush full into that. Perfect. And then I am supposed to mix 2 brushfuls of this into a little bit of candlelight and white. So 1, 2. Obviously it's an inexact science. The candlelight. My cat's breed is loaf. Yes. I just need a little bit of candlelight yellow, like half a drop. So usually what I'll do if I'm looking to do that, 1 second. I have to remember to paint my pokey tool from ReaperCon. I want to start using it. Ah, that's a bubble. All right, let's ignore that bubble and do about half. There we go. Just a little bit of yellow to pick that up, and then, and you don't want to go too, the thing is with skin highlights, you usually putting, at least human skin highlights, putting a little bit of yellow in is a good idea. Because sunlight usually reads as warm, and so if your highlights go up to a slightly warmer color, it'll make sense in the eyes of the people looking at your figure, including you. There we go. But you don't want too much yellow, or it's going to be like really yellow. It's going to look really garish and weird. So I'm going to actually reverse this and mix this into here. It'll help with coverage. There we are. And that goes in here, and there we go, and this. Mix it up. Want a little bit more water in that last one. Oh no, he cannot loaf. That's too bad, Gradico. Sad cat. Hopefully he doesn't know what he's missing. He's like, I cannot loaf. Maybe he thinks he's a human anyway. A lot of cats do. But yeah, so Keekster's doing well. Less bitiness, lots less bitiness, which means she's more pettable, which means David is super happy. Because he always wants to pet her, and before the teeth were just too prevalent. But now the brain cells are coming in, so it's all good. I'm going to put my paints up here out of the way. Might need them for future. We're just going to plug away at the skin tones. It's all grumpy. Alrighty. So we're going to use, even though this is a big model, I'm still going to use my standard size brush. Since I'm mostly working on muscle groups one at a time. So those are our colors as we have just mixed them. Now I can get closer. And we pretty much prototyped this on the hand, so we're going to keep bringing this up the skin cone. The base color, if you recall, is this one. The shadow is the rogue shadow. Then we've got our first highlight and our second highlight. We could also do a higher highlight. We want to remember when we're highlighting these muscle groups to actually highlight them and not like paint right over them. So there is a bit of connecting muscle tendon that goes through here, like that little line you can see there. It's also right there. We want to keep our highlights rounded. This is an oval shape, so our highlight needs to be the same shape, oval. Don't just put a square highlight on a rounded area. It's not going to look right. And since I thinned my paint, I'm going to build up a couple layers of this color so you can see that golden color coming up on the skin. Gonna make sure to hit that nice over here too. And the same on the bicep here, it's very round. I think Kiki's getting a little bit more into the weekly routine now. Well, I have to abandon her for the dentist this afternoon. We'll see how that goes. Should be fine. At least because it's during the time, a little bit of lint there. It's during the time I usually would be working anyway. So for the ribs here, so this is more of a square red long rectangular shape. So we can highlight it that way. And I'm going to leave a shadow underneath the pectoral. And a shadow underneath there. He's got the little side muscles done in the lats, but I'm just going to touch those a little bit. I'm going to actually do the face, I think. So let me see here. I feel like I want another coat of my base color on here. Alrighty, let that dry a second. I'm going to actually grab my robe shadow and do a little bit of shading here on the torso. I don't think I did. I'm going to bring in a real dark shadow here. And the darker you keep your shadows on the skin tone, the more dramatic the highlighting will look. Did I miss something? So I'm just going to layer in this darker color just to keep my dramatic muscles going on here. Oh, the Screamy McScream. It's based on a meme. It's an older meme. Large McBig Huge, I believe, was the original, correct? So now it's like Screamy McScream Face, or Kiki is Fluffy McFluff Butt, or Fluffy McFuzz Butt. It's better if you use different words. But I believe it is a meme. Essentially I'm shading in so that I can bring out the muscles more starkly. Hey, Miniatures Den. Wow. Miniatures Den with a mega raid. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Ann. Work for Reaper. We are doing dark skin tones today. I mixed up my colors earlier using a mixture of the two Bones paint, dark flesh colors, and a little bit more brown oxide and a bit of one of our liner colors, Rogue Shadow for the shadows, a little bit of yellow and white to bring it up. So we're working on this. And this is the Air Scion from the Elemental Scions box from Bones. Ooh, which Bones was it, guys? 5? From the latest, the last, not the one that's still waiting to ship Kickstarter. The one before this one. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of elemental dudes to paint, and so I'm painting Air Elemental Dude. I decided to make him dark skinned. Don't know what colors I'm going to be using on him yet. It's either going to be very jewel toned, traditional, or somebody asked about pastels, so we may make him a manly man wearing pastels. We might do that. So we're currently, though, we're highlighting. So I was just talking about how the darker you keep your skin shadows, the more dramatic you get of an appearance you get, and it works really well on very ripped physiques, male and female, although you will see it mostly used on men because women physiques tend not to be so deeply muscled, and it tends to look a little odd if you go real dramatic with your highlights and shadows on women, female half-orcs being the exception. But yeah, for ripped men and barbarians and you know, genies in this case, and ogres, giants, all that stuff, if you want really dramatic muscling and you're going with an overhead light source and you're going dramatic with the rest of your model, then going for very high impact skin tones, keep your shadows quite dark. Also talked about keeping your highlight shapes consistent with the surface they are on, which probably Luca talked about, maybe. But if you have a rounded surface that you need to highlight, make your highlight rounded. And likewise, if you have like square rectangular surfaces, just make sure that you're echoing the shape of the surface, or if it's flat, for example, you know, you do different types of highlights for those things. Ooh, a little bit too light there. Needed to rebase coat a little bit here, I think. Yeah, interesting, Jack. Yeah, I mean, these days fantasy authors are going to grab mythology and run with it. I mean, I do it in my writing, so. Because it's essentially everybody loves like things that feel familiar, but that are also creative. So yeah. I just decided that since I really felt like doing dark skin tones, and I knew that I was going to be doing either really vivid, saturated colors on him or pastels, so I wanted contrast. So dark skin tone is going to give me that. Plus, I just wanted to paint dark skin. Sometimes you just want to do it, so you do it. And to heck with anything else. Plus, this is technically an elemental scion. He looks like a genie, but he's technically not meant to be one. He's an air emissary, lesser air elemental, if you will. So really, you can paint him however you want. I mean, I don't think anybody should ever be constrained. They should expect some odd looks if what they choose to paint the model like is very different from what you'd expect. But even in D&D, like, you know, you have Efreets, which are fire djinn. So if you painted this one to be fiery, that's what you'd get. And you could paint him watery too. I mean, really, this guy could be any of the above, but he's meant to be the air one in this particular. He's going down toward air, and there's his little lamp. I really think this is a kick butt genie. I like painting genies, so I did a female one a long time ago. Yeah. I mean, it's not like humans at the time weren't making up stories about all sorts of these things and varying them themselves, so. The things we think of as set in stone for these mythological creatures were probably just the thing that got written down and passed down instead of the thing that most people knew it as in the old days. Oral traditions are very fluid. So we are going to hit those tendons there, which are sculpted really deeply on this model, but otherwise we're going for a round highlight. This is a rounded oval shape. It does flatten out a bit on the bottom. Yeah, I think a lot of publishers are looking apart away from the European. That was the problem with my trying to get my book, an agent for my book, is that it is based on Norwegian folklore, and they were more interested in other cultures and ethnicity folklore right now for the big publishers. But that's fine. I wrote what I wrote. I'll publish what I wrote, so. All right, so I didn't get quite a good base coat. You can see that my base coat's a little iffy here. So let's redo it. And again, this is 4 drops of the ebony flesh color, 1 drop of brown oxide, and then I've got a brush full of this golden mixture of ruddy flesh. I put a brush full of that in there just to make my colors harmonize a little bit better. I tend to mix colors into each other if they're going to be layered on top of each other, just to make give them something in common. Tends to make them go together better when I layer them, in my opinion. There, now we'll get that in there. We'll put our shadows on. Keep bringing up this side. I want to tackle his face as well. So maybe I'll grab my shadow and start doing stuff up here. Normally the forehead would be lighter, but the turban really casts a shadow, you can see. So really it's just the top of the brow here that ends up being lighter. I'm going to shade pretty heavily then underneath the turban. So Ron swore he would send me a copy of the new Ghoulie Bag figure that Bob Rodolphe sculpted so that I could paint it for October. So I will wait a couple days and then ask him if he sent it out, because Ron. These days, I just like a good, well-written fantasy, personally. I read a lot of urban fantasy, also. Although it's hard to find really good writers there. There's a couple that I always go to, like Ilona Andrews, but it's a lot of, like, not as good books out there with them, at least for me. I guess I'm picky. Alright, side of the nose. Always get a nice shadow down the side of the nose. Got to get those features coming out. I'm going to use this rogue shadow to also line around the lower lip here. Probably his hair. I was thinking about making his hair black, but then I thought about making it white would be actually cooler. So the first one is East of the Sun, Major Aznabal. And it's the Bear Kings. It's the saga of the Bear Kings. So right there gives you an idea kind of what the vibe is. And it's kind of, I would call it secondary world fantasy, since they live in a more or less quote-unquote normal, kind of late, I would call it late medieval version of our own world, but slightly different. They start out, their initial world is a version of ours, but it is different. And then the magical world intrudes. They get pulled in because of something their grandparents did, because of a curse. So yeah. That's the kind of thing. It's a young adult fantasy. I like to say it's an epic fairy tale adventure. That's what I write. Epic fairy tale adventure. This is kind of what I like to read. So. And I would say that probably some of the closest books to it would be like Neil Gaiman's Stardust. It's probably very close. And also Robin McKinley's Deerskin, if you remember that one. That one's from a while ago, though. And then there's a couple others out there. It's funny how fairy tale books, like a good fairy tale book will pop up and it'll do well, and then it'll kind of like, but nobody does series. Like nobody does them in series. I'm like, are we missing an opportunity here? Like at least none of the like really good writers seem to do them in series. Like they want to do one fairy tale book and then they're done. But I based my whole worlds pretty much on fairy tales and folklore, so the world creation. And right now I'm going through and adjusting because I made some changes to my magic system. Kind of clarifying some stuff in my magic system, which I'd left very nebulous because fairy tales, right? You don't really define the magic in fairy tales. But since I am doing a series, I wanted to spend a little more time actually figuring out the nuts and bolts, such as they are. And that means going through my first book to adjust a couple of things for when characters use magic or are exposed to magic. And then when this little right kind of adjustment is done, it goes off to David's mom. My fiance's mother is proofreading experience, so she has offered to proofread it for me. I have read Sanderson's Laws. And he puts magic into two camps, right? Like the kind of vague, fuzzy magic that just kind of works and you just run with it, and the very regimented magic system. My world does have a magic system, but it also needs to feel fairy tale. And that's the problem. Because if you read fairy tales, you know that magic is very nebulous and a quick thing. It's not defined. It slides past, your expectations. I think you can do a hybrid of the two and still have consistency, but still have a little bit of wonder in there. We'll see if it works. But my system is quite defined behind the scenes. I'm just like keeping it. I'm not gonna like give it to you out front necessarily until later in the series. How about that? Because it still needs to feel like a fairy tale. That's the big thing that I want, that feel. And so, yes, there's a cool magic system. Yes, it has structure. Yes, it does actually make sense behind the scenes. But it's not going to be like... Shannara is more... I don't think of Shannara as a fairy tale. Like, I think of it as very Tolkien. Tolkien also based his stuff on folk and fairy tales. But I found Shannara to be very much more traditional Tolkien-esque fantasy. But I read it a long time ago. I just remember the feel of it being reminded me more of like Lord of the Rings than of reading, say, one of my favorite fairy tales. Major, I'm not published yet. I'm getting my final edits done and my rewrite done on book 2. Both books should be out early next year. And they'll be on Amazon and all over the place, wherever I choose to put them. Probably Amazon at first, and then I'll look at going wider distribution if it makes sense. But yeah, you'll have to wait a little longer. I'll let the stream know once they're out. And I'll let you know also if I was planning to release book 2 very shortly after book 1, since I have both books. And book 2 is just like getting some rewrites right now, but I think it's actually forming up quite well. But I'll let you know if there's if you should hold off, because if there's going to be a sale, you can get book 1 for free, and then you just, then you can get book 2. Stuff like that. I'll let you know. I'm excited, but it's still a lot of work to do your own publishing. I have to learn. My next thing is after I get this rewrite finalized on book 2 and get it off to an editor, I need to learn to use layout software so that I can put my book in EPUB form or whichever one it is. I think everybody uses EPUB now. Harrywood, you're looking at the model. I'm doing like a top-down lighting on this one. So the highlights should always go toward the top, more of the top of the muscle. You can see that on this right here, where you can see it's kind of goes shadow down below and highlight up above. So wherever the muscle kind of like sticks out is where it's going to get the strongest highlight. And then the shape of the muscle is going to influence the shape of the highlight. So here on these, I've done a very round highlight because this is a rounded surface. And then flatter surfaces tend to get just a flatter like highlight. Here I'm just like outlining the bone a bit where it sticks out. And then the top of the six-pack here is getting more highlights. And you'll see that on the next highlight especially because I'm going to start picking out even more toward the top. Yeah, so Zenith priming can help you. Let me get, is Kitty here? Yeah. Kitty's probably the best example. Maybe I've got another one. Hold on. I've got a couple of examples. So this is why people do the Zenith priming, Harrywood. Yeah, you choose where the light is coming from. Because that's how you get highlights in nature. Like if I hold up my hand here, the light is hitting the top and the shadow is on the bottom, right? So that's exactly what you're doing. You can imagine it or you can do a prime like this. A zenith prime, as we call it, which is a black prime and then a white prime over the top. And it kind of keeps some black in the shadows where it makes sense, and things that are up top are highlighted more bold. Now, I typically find that I have to go over the zenith a little bit harder, so I actually did go back with some pure white and like hit some lighter spots on this guy. Once you've done zenith, you can do, well, we use Reaper Super Washes to do this, but you could use contrast paints or anything, you know, all those different brands of contrast paint type like paint right now. You can go over the top with essentially a heavy wash, or you can paint it as normal and just use the zenith as your guide for where your highlights should be. So that's what a lot of people do when they're learning. If you find it easy to imagine where the light is coming from, then you can just do that. Or as I did many times, I have a lamp right up top here. I can just hold the model up right under the lamp and look at where the light falls, and then I use that. So having an overhead lamp at your desk can help you just see real quick where the highlight should be. Yeah, I know. I went to art school also, or maybe you just had, yeah, maybe it was just regular art class in that school, but I went to, and the same thing. I had the same experience, Harrywood. I came away from like college like really feeling like I didn't have a good foundation. And then I started miniature painting, and I've learned more about art from miniature painting than I ever learned in art school. And so it came, I kind of got resolved because of that. That's why I'm here. Like, that's why I teach miniature painting, is because I want to give people the explanations they always wish they had. Because I find that there are a great many good painters in the world. Not all of them can teach. And I have the kind of the teaching bug, so I try very hard to figure out the whys and hows of the thing, and then put it simpler for all y'all. Like, find a way to explain it that's not like too heavy on the art speak or the art BS. And honestly, like, highlights are easy. Like, you can even see, I have a big ring light over in this direction. It's coming from this direction. You can see that it's casting shadows on the model, right? So if I hold the model up to that, I can totally see that I should be highlighting like the top here. I can see that this should be in shadow, these folds. I can see there's darker shadows in there. And I can use this just as a general map if I ever have a question. Yeah. Yeah, it really helps, and this is why I think painters like James Gurney, who does the Dinotopia stuff, he uses a lot of maquettes, which is clay little models that he makes of the figure that he's going to be painting. So like he'll do the Brontosaurus model, and then he'll put it out under the light sourcing that he wants to use. So he'll like build, sometimes he'll even build a little scene and put the models in it. If he's trying for like a slanting sunlight, like a slanting afternoon sunlight, and then he'll arrange a light bulb so that he can see exactly how the light would fall and take photographs and work from that. or just work directly from the maquette. And there's a lot to be said for that. So in miniatures, we have the maquette in our hand. We're painting it. So we don't even need to do that. We just need to hold it up under the light source that we want to use and be pretty consistent about what we're doing, and then we're fine. So yeah, just use the model itself and like a lamp at your desk to kind of show you where the shadows should be. After a while, you totally get a feel for it. Once you have light direction, that's when you can start to do the really cool stuff, because being able to imagine where the light is coming from is key for doing things like non-metallic metals and other object source lighting, where maybe if the gems are here were glowing, right, and I wanted to suggest a glow, that sort of thing. First, you have to be able to imagine directional light. Then you can start pulling off special effects stuff like that. So this is the first step toward being able to do all the cool stuff, in my opinion. No problem. Hey, I'm here every morning. Well, for me, it's morning. If you're in Europe, it's afternoon or evening. But yeah, I'm here every weekday, and then I have my own stream on Saturdays a little later. But yeah, so if you ever have a question, like I like teaching people who are new to the hobby. I really enjoy it because I like to be able to save you guys frustration, because I know that this can be a frustrating hobby. So if you have any questions, always feel free to come on over and ask. That's why I'm here. So I'm going to make a little bit more of a rounding, because these abdominals should be a little bit round. So I'm a little bit round shape, not too bad. So that's coming across. That's really nice, actually. Let's start. Yes, I do also have a Patreon, patreon.com/paintingbig. If you decide you really like my teaching style and it makes sense to you, go on over and take a look. I've got some free stuff over there. Other things to look at, Harriman, or Harwood, if you're going to be like working with Master Series paint, which is the paint line that I created for Reaper. I've got a great video on YouTube on thinning MSP paint, so how much to thin it for various techniques. And the other place I'll refer you is my YouTube. Yeah, okay, Quindy just pegged it. So the second from the bottom link is my YouTube. If you go over there, I've got a series called Fundamentals of Mini Painting. And it pretty much sets you up from how to get a smooth base coat, how to apply a wash, how to make your own washes, all that kind of stuff. It's got a nice series of lessons on kind of the fundamentals as I see them, and why they work for you, and like what kind of brush to use, and thinning your paint, all that kind of thing. Sadly, I was sick this last month. I had some health hiccups, but I will be doing 2 videos for this coming month because I want to catch up and I'll be doing layering and glazing probably. Now, to go back to Jeannie here, so my highlight here, you can see how high coverage it is. And because of that, that's because we put white into it, I need to add a lot more water if I'm going to get a smooth highlight here on his skin. So I'm probably going to drop just 2 extra, well, that was 3, haha, that should work. Normally I would just start with 1 or 2, but the mini is really cool, Chewy. It's Jason Wiebe sculpt from the box set Elemental Scions, S-C-I-O-N-S. This is the air guy. We're painting him and the fish guy, the water guy, on stream. I have a rotation of models I go through, so every day is a different mini, and then we loop around again. So fish guy is this guy. He's like coming from the water. Fish guy. So fish guy's getting his colors on lately. Fish guy will be in like 2 days. So Friday will be fish guy. But yeah, so I have the free content on YouTube. I recommend heading over there if you're new. The fundamentals videos, I tried very hard to make them short and pack a lot of information in a logical way that will hopefully help you. And then if you like that, if you like my teaching style, then hey, yeah, take a look at the Patreon. The Patreon is honestly what keeps me afloat. Although I do get paid to do the Reaper stream here, my main source of income is the Patreon. So it is really my livelihood. I am a starving artist, so to speak. I always aspired to be a starving artist. Well, not quite starving. I'd rather not actually starve. So I've got this. I'm going to put down kind of a test to see how I can get, yeah, you can see, now you can see the edges on that layering. And that means that we've gone, it's just a little bit too opaque still. When you put pure white into a color, you really, really need to thin it. So I'm going to actually do a different thing. I'm going to take the previous highlight color and I'm going to feather it across the edges of that. Feathering means little tiny lines in my case. And that's going to help kind of confuse that border and blend it in a little more. You can see my brush strokes here though. To get real smooth skin tones here, I'd have to probably start doing some glazing pretty quick. I'm going to grab some of this. Okay, well, I'm glad you learned stuff. It's nice to meet you, Harrywood. I hope you make it back. Lots of people watch me while they're working, so join the club. So I'm going to transfer some of this highlight over, guys, because I decided that my well is just getting a bit too full. So I'm going to transfer that over. I'm going to put another brush full of water in it. At this point, I have to really start fine-tuning it. Okay, let's see what we can do. I feel like I need more of that. I'm going to stop for a second and just mix up more of my Ruddy Flesh Oxide Brown mix. So I just feel like I haven't quite had enough, and I'm going to need it probably to continue with the blending here. 3 drops of Ruddy Flesh, 1 of the oxidized brown, i.e. brown oxide, and there we go. Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching while you work. Your jobs might not appreciate you, but I do. Keeps our numbers up. Yay, numbers. All right, gotta mix that up real quick, and then just take a brush full of that and put that in. I'm actually gonna transfer a little bit of that over. There we go, and then a little bit of that over. All right. Quick back up. So our colors, I'm thinning this one a lot more. You can see it by how thin it is on the side of the palette, how it's falling off the side there. You can see that that's quite thin. Uh-oh, squeaky Kiki. The puppy is woken up. She's forgotten that mommy is working during this time, and that squeaking will not get her attention. Sadly, she's too disruptive at this age to have here in the room with me, but hopefully when she gets older, she will be able to hang out with us. So now I'm going to try this. And I'm going to focus my highlights more toward the top of the muscle this time. I'm not going to fill up as much space. And I have so little paint on my brush. Because if I had more paint, I would be making puddles. The paint wouldn't be controlled. I wouldn't be able to just work those highlights up gradually like it can do. Like you can see that golden color coming in there. You have 2 options when you're layering highlights on, if you want them to blend. One is to choose colors that are quite different, like these guys, but to thin the light one a lot. The other option is to make your colors closer together and just build more of them, but if you keep them closer together, you can keep your paint thicker, and arguably you might be able to move a little faster. To round out this highlight a little bit, make it a little rounder. Remember, the shape of the highlight should be indicative of the shape of the surface. You are giving, with highlighting, you are giving the viewer visual information about the surface. You can also just use your paint a little bit thicker and do the kind of the feathering over the edge like I did the first time. So if I want to cover a lot of ground with this highlight, I might do that. Might go ahead and bring in a thicker version of the color. And then bring in my previous highlight and feather it over the edge. Yeah. Bosses are silly that way. Alrighty. So we've got that coming along. I want to add a higher highlight to that bicep. And we'll get more on the face. I got the shadows on the face, but I need to get more of the highlights up there. A little round highlight with this lighter color on the bicep. I think I could actually use a little bit more here on the hand. The other time you might want to use a slightly stronger version of your highlight colors if you've got very small areas to paint and you need it to be kind of punchy, like these little wrinkles. In that case, using a stronger version of the paint is advisable because you don't really have the room to build up highlights. The hand is looking really good there. Very bronzy. Yeah, I finally finished my $5 PDF for the Patreon, so I will be posting that up later. I just need to add a couple of swatches that I did this morning. And then we'll be good. All right, highlights on the old face. A little bit more. Cheekbones are another area that's rounded, so you definitely do want to keep like kind of an oval highlight on the cheekbone. Alrighty, let's get that highest highlight up there. Remember the light is a lot blocked, quite a bit blocked, but the turban blocks a lot of it, but a little bit hits over here. Bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, edge of the nostril. Just to bring out those details. The squeaky puppy gets a lesson today. We're gonna sit out on our driveway and watch the world go by. She's a little bit skittish out there. So all the strange dogs and people and cars. So we're gonna do a puppy TV, and I'm gonna put her big crate out there so she can retreat to it if she needs a safe zone, and we're just gonna hang out and watch the world a little bit today. It's her socialization thing for the day. There we go. So bringing out the face there. Add a little bit to a real harsh shadow there. I want a little bit softer, so I'm going to bring in a little bit more of my first highlight. I think that's about right. Yes, okay. This side is going to be kind of under the arm, but there's a little bit of space for highlighting, so kind of use your best judgment call. Again, you can hold it up underneath your light source and see how much light actually falls there to make a judgment call for how much highlighting to put on. Yeah, I was going to go cool colors on this guy. That much I knew. I don't want an Efreet pendrake. If I put orange on this model, you're going to see an Efreet. I don't really want that. So orange is out. On my other Jen, I did her as kind of a dawn color scheme. So we had some pink and blue kind of sunrise color scheme on her. If you were doing a sunset, you could do that kind of coloration. But again, you would risk your viewer thinking it was an Efreet. And if you meant it to be air elemental Ginny, then, you know, you always have to ask, because, you know, your color choices are going to influence that sort of thing on a model like this that has a vibe that people expect a certain thing from. So if you go outside of that thing, people are going to be trying to figure out what it is, because it's not what they expect from that thing. So for this, I do want, because I'm painting all of the different elements for this stream, I definitely want this guy to have a strong air affinity. Yeah, sure, you can try out colors in your head. I'm just going to take the opportunity to kind of teach while you do it. Because, yeah, when you have a model that's definitely has some viewer expectations based on the style of the mini, if you change it up too much, you're going to be maybe frustrated as the painter if people think that it's something that you didn't mean it to be. You can always just throw people's expectations to the wind and just paint it the way you want it. But then you can't get upset if they don't understand what it is, because you haven't given them, like, color is a big cue. I think I do want one more highlight, guys. I'm going to build one more highlight. So I'm going to pop back. Oh, the puppy is being silly in there. She's got her squeaky toy. I'm going to pop back, grab some of this. And I'm going to add a bit more white. Maybe a touch more yellow. I'm going to see what color this goes. Yeah, that bleached it out. So I definitely want a little bit more yellow. Yellow can keep it from bleaching as much, but it's also going to be dangerous. You don't want it to. There we go. That's about right. It's pretty good. He's definitely going to have blue on him somewhere. What color of blue I decide to go with is the question. Kind of on a teal and purple kick lately. That's why I'm wearing my teal and purple mini painting shirt. So I could go with a... Or I could go with a deeper blue and a lighter blue. Or a dark blue and teal. Could go that way. I don't know. He's going to have gold on him because there's lots of jewelry. I could go silver on that. Might be difficult. Oh, the puppy. Barkies. You guys get to hear the puppy barkies. Sometimes they come through on my mic. I keep the door open because I want to hear what she's doing while I'm streaming. I just can't have her in here because she'd be a big disruption. Alright, so let's see how far I've come here. Yeah, it's going to be really harsh. So I feel like I need a little bit more. I think I want that to go in here. I'm going to mix this new color I made into my previous layering batch to lighten it up and try that. Lately we have we've been very purple and orange, but now that our purple and orange stuff is done, we've got a pink and blue, our muted Ghostwalker color. We have an indigo and teal for our fish guy. What else have I got? What am I missing? Oh, Kitty. Kitty is around here somewhere. Kitty is going to be a teal and dark purple, but really, really muted out. I don't think I'm going purple with him. I think I'm going, the most purple I would go would be like ultramarine. I don't know, Pendrake. It may end up being something entirely different. Depends on how the rest of it comes out. I mean, you can go brass bronze with these guys because of the, like, City Brass thing. Puppy, settle down. The pupster is having her 10:30, 10:45 fussy period, where she's like, "Aren't you done yet? Aren't you done with those people yet? You have to play with me." She gets an out after I'm done with streams. We are getting the routine down, but we're still the routine is still a work in progress. So she'll get it. She'll get it eventually. The problem with you shouting out a lot of ideas. Oh, hold on. Package delivery. I just gotta see if I have to sign for it. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Hi, very good. Okay. Where is it? So it's on the left side of the property we're facing. Okay. On my mapping, but I could be upstairs with the phone. You can walk all the way around the house. You should be able to. I'm not sure where it is. No worries. I'll take a look. All right, cool. Yeah, if not, just give me another knock. I hope it's not in the garage or something. But okay. Usually it's outside. All right, cool. Thank you. So the nice thing. Oh, Papa, settle. You get to go and watch somebody. So the Papa's all excited now. Nope, no box for Kiki. It was a PG&E guy. He needs to check our gas meter. So now she gets to go and watch a human outside in the outside of her in the big windows. But I was saying the problem with you shouting out ideas, Pendrake, is that then automatically I decide not to do them in my brain. Because I want to do something surprising and cool. So, like, this is, like, probably a writer thing, too, where you're, like, the more people are like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? The more you're like, I'm not going to do any of those things. On occasion, I do take your suggestions. This is true. But I feel like on this one, I'm rebelling a bit. On this model, I want to kind of follow my own groove. Some models, as you guys know, I just don't have any inspiration for. So I'm like, whatever. And you shout out an idea, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. But yeah, this model, I don't know. I feel like I want to do my own thing on this mini. Yeah, say things we don't want you to do. You know, like, well, okay, you guys have surely run into this in your own painting, where somebody's like, why don't you do this? And you're just like, meh. Have you ever had that reaction? Kiki, settle. Like, sometimes you just don't want the suggestions. Sometimes you just want to figure it out on your own because you're really enjoying the model. And you don't mean anything by it, but it's just kind of that knee-jerk kind of grump. Sometimes I feel like streaming just like invites people to tell me how to paint the model, and sometimes I'm like okay with that if I don't have a concept for the model, and sometimes it really annoys me. Sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm not going to paint it like that, actually. So now we can see the light coming down. As I put this final, you can see why I decided on another highlight, right? Oh, very fussy puppy now. Very, very fussy puppy. Now I have to check that the meter guy has left before I let her out. But yeah, by adding that light, you can see how it's, you can really see the direction of the light now for the first time. Oh, fussy puppy, so fussy. Papa, you're going to have to settle for a bit. Yeah, I know, Pendrake, but I don't enjoy that sometimes. Because then, if you say the thing that I'm planning to do, then the surprise is ruined. Because you said it out loud on stream. You can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know how I feel about it today. If I seem like I'm like just not even engaging with your suggestions, that's why. It's because I already have an idea of how I want this guy to go. Yes, Valandar, exactly. Yes, a lot of writers purposely refuse any writing suggestions because there have been instances where, if a reader made a suggestion too close, the reader would actually sue for co-writer credit. It absolutely is a thing. It's why George R. R. Martin does not ever read any comments or like speculation threads on his work at all. Like, I know that Gurm doesn't do it for that reason. Also, like he said, and this rings really true to me. He's like, if they said something and it was close, I would be tempted to change the story to get it away from that. Then and that would change my story. It's my story. I should be able to write it however I want. You know, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, it's absolutely a thing, Kodiak. Yeah, I mean, I did the female genie with a very fantasy skin tone, right? We did that dawn colored blue pinks fade that I did, and I really wanted to go. I really wanted like kind of a stormy, like dark feel to the sky. So I wanted to do a darker skin tone. But yeah, that whole thing where as a writer it can get you into trouble, or it can just be really annoying because like you're just like, I wanted to tell my story my way, but now I've read this, now I have to not do it. Yeah, it's like I can see. As a writer, I do not think I will ever be reading any speculation on my future books after I publish. Period. For that reason, I don't want to have to feel compelled to change my story just because somebody kind of guessed where I might be going. I'm sure people will guess where I'm going, but I don't want to have to deal with that. But yeah, and with the raid thing is exactly the same. You're right. You already know what you're gonna do. You don't need the peanut gallery sometimes, right? I mean, you guys can shout out suggestions if you want here. It's not like I'm going to get sued for painting the mini the way that you suggest. But there are definitely minis where I invite your input, and minis where I'm just like, no, I'm kind of doing my own thing here. This is one of those minis. Hey, Dark Fluid GM, thank you for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Sub for the show is a vote for the show, is what I always say. Lets the bosses know that people are still watching us and enjoying it. Means I keep getting paid. Woohoo! And I still keep getting to stream every day for you guys. There we go. So we've got that arm showing up there nicely. Inkwolf, we're still working on him. We do a rotation here that's actually 6 models long. So we actually only work on a model once a week. So Flying Carpet Man is still in his... We worked on his gold this past week. So we are slowly working on the model. But I do it this way. I don't work on one model till it's done, because then people who aren't interested in that particular model won't watch. So every day it's a different model, and then we loop back around. So Flying Carpet Man actually isn't back on the docket until next Monday. Yeah, sometimes you can use it, Kerniko. Sometimes you can use it, but... Oh yeah, backseat gaming can get you banned from plenty of channels on Twitch, yeah. Yeah, backseat painting is probably just as unwelcome. Yeah, and like I said, some models, as you know, I invite you guys' input. This model, though, I know where I'm going. Just want to get more of that light centered there. We want to see that light coming down. Oh, I'm still going for another 5 minutes for sure, Crows. We're not going to get all these skin tones done. Although I can see the light real well right there, so I'm going to pick up his cheek here. So a little bit on that cheekbone because you can see the light would be falling on it. Yes, he does. He has a beard and he has hair coming out on the back right there. So I'm going to be doing white, I think. Cloudy white. I think he'd look wicked with a black beard, but he'd look even better, I think, with white. I really need a camp chair or something that I can sit outside with Kiki in the front of our house. We don't really have any outdoor furniture that's movable. Oh, the cork? Yeah, usually Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You can also get it on Amazon. Comes in a package usually with several sheets of it. That'll last you a very long time. All right, I'm going to outline the hand here. I'm pretty warm actually. I'm in flannel after all. I'm sorry that I keep freezing. Do I keep freezing? Quindy, I assume if I was freezing, oh, okay. Quindy says it's on Pendrake's end, so it may also be on your end, Roger. It's not on Twitch's end, is what Quindy is saying. It's not on Anne's end, or she would see it. It's nice that our internet has actually worked for a while. Maybe it heard me threatening to switch. Dark shadow, just blocking in some shadows here. We still have to do the back as well. Sure, Agent Marvel. I hope you liked the stream. Tomorrow we'll be finishing the basing on our Celestial Wizard. Alrighty. Hey there, Luca, what's up? Got my bronze skin tone going on. Liking it so far. Thanks for the raid earlier. So we are about set, guys. Let us just end there. On our next one, we'll finish our skin tones all on the back of the model, and I'll start working on the white hair, the white beard and face and everything. I think he's coming out quite well. I'm really happy with the skin tone as it's turned out. Thanks, Luca. Yeah, and we will, I believe it is the day for the Alpaca Nation to take over. Am I correct? Time for the Luca stream? The Lucaverse? This is actually historically accurate, I believe. Pendrake? All right, well then. Not that genies are historically accurate, but you know what I mean. This type of armor, this style of armor. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yep, I'm off to gamble about with a puppy. I hope you all have a lovely day. Tomorrow will be. Wait, let me get her. We may have to start a new model tomorrow as well because she's almost done. We really just have to. We have to bring in vegetation. We have to maybe touch up some things here. Bring in some extra colors. Do our glowing rune on this model. Yeah, we may finish her pretty early tomorrow. I may need to prep a new mini. So actually, it's good that I reminded you guys that we're working on her tomorrow. So thanks, and have fun with Luca. Bye-bye, everybody.